Hello everyone, now we're going to talk about adding fractions with unlike denominators. Here we have 1/4 plus 2/3. Notice the denominators are not the same. So that means I cannot add these two fractions together because the pieces are not the same amount. I can't add a piece that's smaller than the other one and say I have two pieces. They're not the same amount. They're not the same size. Okay, so I have to make them equal. And to show you what I mean, let's say I tell you or I ask you how much is 1 foot plus 6 inches. You can't say this is equal to 7, that 1 plus 6 is 7, because they're not the same things. Okay, so I would either have to have both of these in the same units. I would have to have both of these represented as feet, or both of them represented as inches. So if I turn 1 foot into inches, I would have 12 inches plus 6 inches. And now since they're both in the same units, I can add them and say I have 18 inches. Okay, so that's the same thing that happens with fractions with unlike denominators. I need the denominators to be the same denominator so that I can add them together, because when I have them as the same denominator, I have equivalent pieces. All the pieces will be the same size. So I'm going to show you how to do that in different ways. The first way I'm going to show you is with this visual model of fractions. And then I'm going to show you how to do it the old way, the way you learned how to do it maybe in 5th and 6th grade. And then I'm going to show you a little trick. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways. Let's start with the model. 1 out of 4. If I want to shade in what 1 out of 4 is, that would represent this piece here. And I'm trying to add that to 2/3. So 2/3 would be 1/3, 2/3. This piece here, you see already I wouldn't be able to add this together. I don't know, because they're different sizes. So this is what we're going to do. Since this is broken into 4 and this one's broken into 3 parts, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this figure and break it into the same 3 parts as this one. So if this is broken in 3 parts horizontally, I'm going to do that with this model. I'm going to take this model and break it into 3 equal parts horizontally, like this. There's 1. And there's your 3rd one. Okay? And now I'm going to do the same thing here. This one is broken into 3 horizontally. I'm going to break it into 4ths, like the original one was broken into 4ths. So I'm going to break this in half and then into 4ths. And what I've done by doing this is, I don't know if you noticed, now both pieces are broken into equal amounts. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So that one has 12 pieces. It's broken into 12s. And this one is also broken into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pieces. So now I have the same denominator. Now I can add these little pieces together. Notice how many pieces are shaded in out of the 12 in total? Well, 3. And this one, how many pieces are shaded in out of the 12? 8. Now I can add these pieces and I will have a total of 11 out of 12. Okay? If I take these 3 pieces and place them here, I will have 11 out of 12. Notice how we had to change the denominators to have them equal denominators. Okay, so another way is, and this is the way you learned how to do it in 4th, 5th, 6th grade. somewhere around there. 1/4 plus 2/3. And this is what we did. We took the denominators, the 4 and the 3, and we made a list of all the multiples of 4. Now, when we talk about the multiples of 4, we talk about the 4 times tables. So here's how we make a list for 4. Don't confuse this with looking for the factors of 4. We're not looking for factors, we're looking for the multiples. So 4 times 1, 4. 4 times 2, 8. 4 times 3, 12. 4 times 4, 16. 4 times 5, 20. 4 times 6, 24, and so on. And we do the same for the 3 times table. Look for all the multiples of 3. 3 times 1, 3. 3 times 2, 6. 3 times 3, 9. 3 times 4, 12. 3 times 5, 15. 3 times 6, 18. 3 times 7, 21. 3 times 8, 24, and so forth. Now you're going to look at the common multiples and let's circle them. A common multiple here is 12. They both have multiple of 12. And we also have 24. And this list continues forever and ever and ever, and we'll have a whole bunch of common multiples. But in this case, I'm only interested in the least common multiple. And we abbreviate this like this, least common multiple. That means the smallest common multiple. In this case, our smallest common multiple is 12. Now that 12 is the number that tells me into how many parts I need to break each one of these pictures that we did before into 12 parts. That means make this fraction a denominator of 12 and make this one a denominator of 12. So once I find that number, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to take 1/4 and make it 12ths because that's the least common multiple. And how do I get from 4 to 12? You multiply by 3 in the denominator to get 12. So if you multiply by 3 in the denominator, you have to multiply by 3 in the numerator. So 1 times 3 would be 3. And there you've changed 1/4 into 3/12, which is what we did here when we drew these lines. We turned 1 out of 4 parts into 3 out of 12. Okay? And then we take 2/3 and you do the same thing. You say, well, I have to turn 2/3 into something that's a 12th because that's the least common multiple. So how did I get from 3 to 12? We multiplied by 4. So if you multiply 3 times 4 in the denominator to get 12, I have to multiply the numerator times 4 also. So 2 times 4 is 8. And there you have 8/12. And now you can add 3/12 plus 8/12, and you get 11/12, which is the same thing we got when we used our visual model. So there you have 2 ways of adding fractions visually or finding the least common multiple. Another way to do it is using a little trick. Another way is using this trick. The original addition was 1/4 plus 2/3. And here's the trick. You take these 2 denominators and you multiply them together. That gives you 12. That's going to be your denominator here. And then to get the top part, you cross multiply. You do 4 times 2, that's 8, plus 3 times 1, that's 3. And then you end up with 8 plus 3 in the top, which is 11, and your 12 in the bottom. And there you have the answer. So there you have it. If this answer were bigger and you were able to reduce it or simplify it to lowest terms, you would be expected to do that, okay? So there you have 3 different ways. I am going to give you more examples and practice, and you choose which way you're going to find the same denominator when adding fractions. It doesn't matter to me which way you want to do it as long as you're able to add them. So I'll see you at the next video.